I decided to join Immerse for the camaraderie. I thought it'd be great to work with like-minded entrepreneurs to all build our apps together.
I thought Immerse would be an amazing place to build connection, meet like founders like myself, and then also get the tools I needed to finish my product in a timely manner.
Really takes the risk out of the situation. To create a SaaS application, you're talking 12 plus months, you're talking a 6-figure commitment getting a developer. Whereas now with Bubble, you can build an application in 4 to 8 weeks and get that product on the market, test it, and iterate and continue from there.
The Immerse program has been phenomenal in that it truly does build you up. But at the same time, it shines a light on your weaknesses. And just getting that critical feedback can be challenging, but it's also incredibly healthy.
I do a lot of services that are custom, one-on-one, and very resource intensive, and I sort of maximum capacity as an individual with my business, and creating an online platform through Bubble is something that allows me to do the services that I do every day for my clients and now worldwide.
For new founders thinking of applying to the Bubble Immerse program, I would just think a lot about what are the basic features that you want to be able to give your customers right away. So break your ideas down into the core features that you think will give your product and your users the most benefit, and start there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 5th demo day. I'm so excited for all of you guys to be here tonight because, of course, I'm biased, but we have some really great things in store for you all because the MVPs you're going to see tonight are going to be simply amazing. And so I want to start with, what are we celebrating tonight? So tonight we are celebrating, the very first thing is no-code entrepreneurship. And so what does that even mean for those of you who are new to the space of no-code? So one founder that you're going to see tonight describes it as speed, right? And what does he mean by speed? So he actually shared last week in our LinkedIn Live that in 1 week over the holiday period, in just 7 days over a sprint, he built 80% of the MVP that he's going to show tonight, right? And so that's what speed means to a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the no-code space. And secondly, another entrepreneur you're going to hear from tonight, Obi, described it as agency. So for those of you where this is maybe not your first venture, you've built other things before, entrepreneurship can be a really long and rocky road. And so the idea that this is one less thing you have to worry about, that your product is the very last thing that you need to think about when there's so many other things that are incoming running a business, that's exactly what it means to be in the no-code space, right? That you have agency over the very thing that you're trying to build. And so the second thing that we're celebrating tonight is Black entrepreneurship. And so what does that mean? A McKinsey study recently researched, it said that 2% of startups, of US startups based in the US that are unicorns over the last 10 years, only 2% were led by Black founders. But that really stands in contrast to the other findings of the research that said that about 45% of people who took that study said that entrepreneurship and actually entrepreneurs, businesses, retailers should support Black entrepreneurs and underrepresented entrepreneurs in general, right? 45% want inclusion. And so that's what we're celebrating tonight because that's our mission at Bubble. That's our mission at Immerse, really, to support Black entrepreneurs and underrepresented entrepreneurs worldwide, actually, that want to get on the side from just being a consumer of tech to a creator of tech. And so let's talk about what you should expect tonight. So you are going to hear from our 5th cohort of founders in residence. So not only do we have our finalists demoing tonight, but we also are giving some shine to the people that we selected for this cohort. So 11 phenomenal founders that you're going to hear a little bit about and learn about their bios. And even a few you're going to see it behind the scenes to see just what they have cooking in the Bubble editor. And then you're also, the whole reason why we're here tonight is to hear from the cream of the crop, the folks who have built the most intricate apps in this cohort. And so we're going to hear from 4 of them and truly, truly be excited about what they were able to build in little to no time. You're going to see not only their business pitch, but also a product demo. And next, you're going to vote your fan favorite. So this is actually my favorite part of the night because we have a judging panel tonight that I'm going to introduce in a bit, but they are not the only ones making decisions tonight. Right? You as an attendee, as someone who's part of the Bubble ecosystem and has joined us tonight, you're going to also pick your fan favorite. And then lastly, before we wrap up tonight, before we hear who our winners are, we're going to hear from, I'm actually really excited for you guys to hear from our previous fan favorite, Jordana Wright, in an interview with our head of community, Daniel Zaltzman. It's truly a full circle moment for many reasons that you'll see in a while, but I'm really excited for you guys to hear from her and just get a sense of what one path looks like after Immerse. And so let's talk about how you should engage. Get in the chat, ask questions, answer our polls, react, okay? We want to engage with those who are here to connect with the founders and also just our broader community and ecosystem. Then also report out on social media. So if you are on Twitter, on Instagram, take the time to let people know what's happening here tonight. You may be a founder who's attending, or maybe you know other people or other founders who have, or other people, just entrepreneurs who have ideas and are looking for ways to bring their ideas to life. So share the love, let them know what's going on here. On Twitter, we are at Bubble, just like that. And also use our hashtags Immerse, hashtag Immerse Founders and hashtag Immerse at Bubble and Build with Bubble. And so speaking of polls, our first poll question of the night is, where are you tuning in from? We have a really global user base, as I've said a couple times. So not only tell us whether, like, what sphere of the world that you're in, but also shout out in the chat, like your city, your state, your province, your small town. We want to have an idea of just where people are in the world today and where you're tuning in from. And so you're probably wondering who I am. So my name is Nicole and I lead founder inclusion efforts at Bubble. But then also thanks to Bubble, I lead product development at my own company, ShipFair. And so I love to kind of start with the story here about how ShipFair and Bubble collided, because it really is the story of what we are trying to accomplish in Immerse in Bubble as a whole. So when I was a couple moons ago, I actually did marketing strategy consulting in West Africa, and I became obsessed with this idea of informal shipping. Right? We had really scrappy entrepreneurs who were in close Facebook groups and Google groups asking, hey, is anyone traveling from, I don't know, Maryland, USA to Johannesburg, South Africa? When you get there, can you carry this item for me in your luggage and then drop it in local mail to get to whosoever, right? And so I'm just like, I know entrepreneurs are scrappy, but this seems a little risky to me. And so I became obsessed with this idea of how to make this safer, because in many emerging markets, the idea of using a formal shipping route is sometimes it's not safe, and sometimes it's really cost prohibitive. And so when I set out on the idea and learned more about the space and did some customer discovery, and when I was finally ready to actually build something, it was a headache. I mean, I started with dev shops where there was one agency that told me that building an app would be as easy as finding features actually, or building features would be as easy as picking toppings on a pizza. Turns out that's never the case. And if any agency tells you that, you should run. Secondly, I spoke with students and I worked with students who gave me a really great foundation, and they were so gracious to answer all of my questions, but they didn't have that sort of client-side professionalism that was needed in order to work on a long-term project. And then lastly, I talked to many a freelancer, which I'm sure many founders who are in the chat tonight and who are joining us have probably had these conversations before, where you think one freelancer will be the person that you should work with, but then you find out you don't really understand what you're actually really looking for. Like, what is the skill set that you need to bring this idea to life? And so the straw that broke the camel's back for me was someone telling me that if I wanted to make a content change in this app, if we work together, that I would need to download a virtual environment in order to change something. And so when I talked about speed and agency a little bit earlier on, I was really turned off by the idea that I would not have agency, right? And so I like to tell the story because really this is what we're trying to achieve in Immerse. We're trying to help founders get unstuck from the stage between idea and something that's actually really real. And so in 3 months, I was part of the inaugural program in Immerse. And in 3 months, I built what I struggled to build in 18 months on my own, right? So this is the idea of what I mean by getting unstuck. And so the only person here that actually is here tonight who could tell us the story of Immerse and really expand on the mission, the broader mission of Bubble is Emmanuel, who is one of the co-CEOs and founders of Bubble. And so I'm excited to bring him onto the stage tonight so he can talk a bit about what we're trying to accomplish as a company.
Good evening, Nicole. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here again. I mean, as Nicole said, this is a 5th cohort for us. So it's starting to become a little bit of an institution for the company. And that's personally my favorite day of the quarter, because it's a way to have a more vivid experience of, why we're doing this, why we're building the company we're building. We're not at a scale where we have a lot of users, and so sometimes it's hard to relate to all the individual stories that our users carry. Are they building companies on top of the platform? And Immerse is a way to really do that very closely from us. So that's a great time for me personally. So Nicole actually gave a great overview of what the mission of the company is about. So I'll try to remain a little bit brief here because I want to leave most of the space really for the founders. I mean, this is why we're doing this. We're doing that for them, and we're excited to see what they have to show us. We started the company in 2012, so a little bit more than 10 years ago now, because we felt that entrepreneurship was only kept to a happy few. Like, too many people had ideas and they were not able to just get their product off the ground because the randomness of life had made that they hadn't been exposed to code, or their high school best friend was not a coder. And because of that, they basically were living a life where it was very challenging to start things. More fundamentally, one thing we felt is that more and more, and the pandemic only accelerated this, but it was already the case before, value creation happens a lot through digital products. Like when you look at the biggest companies now, where people spend most of their time, this happens online. And if we are in a world where less than 1% of the world population can create, this leads to a major rift in the population, where a few happy few are able to create some products and derive some economic value or solve problems for themselves or people around them. And it's a very small part of the population. And then 99% of the world that is consuming when something has been built for them, or just doesn't have access to software at all when they need it. And we felt that it was wrong to do this. We started seeing some impact of this in the early 2010s, and I think it already only accelerated, where you would see that most companies back then, most startups were being started for people in fairly rich areas, like people that had like a pretty high purchasing power, because that's where people felt they could have a return on investment for building the technology. Because another way to see the problem is that building technology is inherently very expensive. Like, technology used to be a luxury product that not many people could afford or could get. And we felt that, technology is actually a great product. Technology can actually make people's lives better, but then it should be shared by more people. And to be shared by more people, it needs to be cheaper and easier to build for everyone. So we started the company 10 years ago. It's been a little bit of an untraditional journey in the sense that it was only Josh and I for the first 5 years. And today we have a little bit more than 110 people. So the growth has been pretty recent and rapid in the last couple of years. But one thing that happened in 2020, so at that time we were about like a 30 or 25% team, is when we started seeing a lot of, like social issues rising at that time in 2020. It's something that has always been a thing in the US, but some events that happened in the summer of 2020 led a lot of people and a lot of organizations to ask themselves, what can they do? What can we do as an organization, to help solving some of the social issues back then, and racial issues in particular, in a way that is authentic, like in a way that actually, builds on top of, what the organization is about. And for us, for Bubble, the way, and that ended up being the inaugural class that Nicole was part of, we felt that Immerse was actually the right way for us to not only, we're putting our product in the hands of everyone. I mean, it's a self-serve product, but there was a way for us to actually accompany better a few select group of people. And there is a selection process. And so the people we're going to see tonight, the founders, have been selected and have a much more hands-on approach with them. So yeah, we started the program in the summer of 2020. Nicole was part of it. And then eventually Nicole joined us about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, to kick off, to take the lead on this initiative. So with that being said, very excited to see everyone tonight. Very looking forward to all the demos, and may the best product win eventually.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So let's talk a bit about who you are in the startup and business ecosystem. So this is our second poll, and while you guys are filling this out, I want to actually walk through who's here tonight. So we have people from Brooklyn, we have people from Argentina, I saw Costa Rica, we have Morgantown, West Virginia, we have Philly, Sydney, Australia, we have Johannesburg, we have Cape Town. I mean, we have people from all over tonight. So continue to shout out your city. Like, it's amazing to see just the reach. And as you've heard Emmanuel speak about, just in terms of our global ambitions and making creators and helping, especially those underrepresented, become creators of tech, I think it's really important to see just how far reaching this is. So please go ahead and let us know who you are in the startup and business ecosystem. And I think that obviously if you're here tonight, you understand that we are a product-oriented pre-accelerator, right? So you understand what exactly we are, but why, right? I'd like to talk a little bit about that. Part of the reason why we started this, specifically focused on product, is because we wanted to help BIPOC founders build their first high-fidelity MVPs. And that was because we believe that founders, in particular solo founders, which many underrepresented founders do start as such, solo founders tend to be like their company's first product managers, right? And what does that mean? That means that as an individual, as an entrepreneur, you are tasked with taking in requirements, right? Talking to users and understanding what exactly the pain point is. Like, what is the problem that they're dealing with, and trying to figure out what the first version of that solution could possibly look like, right? And so that's why we focus on MVPs, and we fuse a few different things to support founders, right? So our very first pillar is what we call Bubble Core, and that's simply you just learning how to visually program in Bubble and in our editor. And so you'll see in a montage actually at the later half of the evening just what that actually looks like. We spend a lot of time together. The founders can tell you become pretty close as we give up our evenings and our weekends to support each other and to build together. And our second pillar is the product core. So that's really just helping you plan your app and develop the app architecture. So we infuse a lot of different product management tools and techniques to support founders in building their apps. So yes, you could, even though Bubble makes it really easy for you to jump in an editor and jump in the database and build something, we actually do a couple exercises like user stories or coming up with entity relationship diagrams, and we build that out together before you start building in your app. And that's our product core pillar. And the third pillar tonight is business core. So business core is spread over a couple different ways. So we support our entrepreneurs, not just, in the product in and of itself, but also bringing in mentors, right? To come and talk about what it's like to be a founder, either on the product side or the business side. And so I really just want to shout out our past and present Immerse mentor network. In particular, Lisa Michelle, who was part of our past cohort, who's really got on to do amazing things actually since winning best product last cohort. And also, I just want to, it's amazing that we've had people volunteer their time to come talk about where they are in the process, because it ranges. We have people who are early in the fundraising process as entrepreneurs. We have some people who are further down the line where they've sold companies that have come to talk to some of the past 3 cohorts. And so we just want to thank them for the time that they've given up to come chat with our cohort. And then what I'm really excited to talk about is product mentorship at Bubble. So this is the very first time with our 5th cohort that we decided to gather some more support from our community, right? To push these entrepreneurs a little bit further along and above the learning curve in Bubble. And so I really want to shout out each individual here: Christopher, David, Edward, Harish, Joff, John W., Michael, Nick, Sam from Bubble, and Vinny. Thank you guys so much for giving up some time and effort to answer text messages 1 a.m. in the morning, having multiple phone calls with these founders to get them over the learning curve. I think you guys really, truly contributed to what we're seeing tonight. And we're just really thankful that you guys decided to sign up to become part of our inaugural class of product mentors. And so if you're interested in learning more about them, click on the link here that just popped up on your left-hand side to learn more about them and also hear what the founders have to say about their time with these mentors. And so I'm excited to, before we jump into the bulk of the night, to talk about who's going to help us judge and make decisions, some really tough decisions tonight. So first up, we have Doc Williams. Doc Williams is a content creator. He's a no-code developer and a business consultant. He spent about 8 years running an agency building apps with no-code tools. And he has worked with a wide variety of brands and companies, including Gary Vee, Trends.co, and ESPN. So he now hosts a show, Build With Me, on YouTube, which helps entrepreneurs take action and build their business or side hustles. And so come on up to the stage, Doc, to just say a few words. We're really excited that you're here, and go ahead, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. Zamora, thank you so much. Glad that you're enjoying the videos and see me on YouTube. So I'm here because so many different ones have done such a great job, and it's inspiring. So I am here to encourage to continue to see all of these wonderful apps, and it's just wonderful to see. Really, it's really important to do this, and especially in this climate and what's going on in the world, and giving more power to people to learning these skills for them to do it in their own business, their own ideas. I'm happy to be here. So again, thank you so much for having me, and it's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Doc. So we'll hear from Doc a little bit later on in the evening. Next up, we have Esra. So it is my personal honor actually to introduce her because she is our winner from our last cohort. She won our best pitch. And so like I talked a bit about these full circle moments, like this is certainly one of them to have her joining the judging panel today. So Esra is the co-founder and CEO of Verve, which is a vital tool for managers who want to keep their teams engaged and on track in the post-pandemic work from anywhere era. Verve is a SaaS solution that helps leaders manage distributed teams, providing custom animations and analytics to improve engagement, retention, and performance. So prior to launching Verve, she advised global clients on corporate strategy and organizational health at McKinsey. And more recently, she was awarded, like I said, Best Pitch at our last Immerse competition. And shortly after, she was accepted into the highly sought after TechStars Accelerator Program. Please, celebrations in the chat, you guys. With her growing entrepreneurial expertise, Esra is excited to give back and serve as a judge tonight. So Esra, so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us today. And go ahead, take the floor.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Nicole, and thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to be here today, first and foremost, because I can't wait to hear the amazing ideas and see the hard work that everyone's put into making them a reality. But also because, as Nicole mentioned, just 1 year ago, I was presenting on this very stage. And since then, I've gone on to find a co-founder, be part of an accelerator, and we even expanded our mission to launch a new service now in private beta. So trust me when I say that this truly is an incredible platform and is just the beginning for all the finalists and all the cohort members. So congratulations on making it this far, finalists, and truly wishing you all the very best of luck.
Thank you, Esra. And our last judge on the judging panel tonight is Obi, who is a technical program manager for Microsoft for Startups and a founder himself. So born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina, Obi is a self-taught software developer with experience in both fintech and software consulting. In 2016, Obi launched his first startup, The Cutting Edge, in which he was a finalist for the 2020 NC Capital Connect Startup Competition. In total, Obi has served as a technical founder or CTO in 3 separate startups, and today works with startups to launch their products by way of technical mentorship, digital resources, and hands-on training and more. And so, Obi, why don't you go ahead and make it to the stage and say a few words to the audience tonight. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
No, of course. No, thank you for having me, everybody. Thank you for the intro. Again, my name is Obi. Originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a founder, three-time founder, and actually, ironically enough, the startup that she mentioned, Cutting Edge, was actually built on Bubble back in 2018. Wow, dating myself. So, but again, it's great to have this full circle moment. Somebody who's used the platform before, somebody who's built on it before. and somebody who specializes. I actually work with the startups and our early stage startups with Microsoft for Startups. So if you're an early stage startup or anywhere in between, feel free to holler at me afterwards. You want to learn more about Microsoft for Startups, which I'm sure we'll have some type of drop at the end. But yeah, I'm just excited to see everybody's hard work. I love founders, and I'm always pro founder. So, and I'm rooting for everybody, everybody Black and everybody, of color. So I'm glad to see the diverse background as well. So excited to hear it from everybody tonight. So best luck with everybody.
I see what you did there. Issa would be very proud. So thank you so much, Obi. We appreciate those kind words. And honestly, really the reason why we're all here tonight, you guys, is to see what these finalists have been able to build in just under 10 weeks. And so with that being said, I'm really excited to bring to the stage our very first finalist of the night, Adjoa, who is the founder of Soiree. Adjoa, why don't you go ahead and make it to the stage so we can, so you can tell everyone about this amazing business that you've built.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to Immerse Demo Day. My name is Adjoa Opoku, and I'm the founder of Soiree, and we're the world's easiest way to plan group dinners and wrangle payment from all your flaky friends. So planning a group dinner is a universally frustrating experience. Everyone has horror stories when it comes to aligning on a restaurant that can take into consideration everybody's dietary restrictions, getting there on time to be seated, and of course, splitting the bill. So let me start by telling you about one of my personal horror stories. It was one of my friend's 30th birthday, and we were at this fancy restaurant in Soho in Manhattan, and we were ordering drinks and appetizers, more shots. And when we got the bill, it was enough to pay the birthday boy's rent. And then the deliberations began. One friend was a vegan, and she didn't want to split it equally because she didn't order as much as everyone else. There was a lot of unclaimed drinks. And after about 30 minutes of back and forth, one of my friend's boyfriends was like, I'm just going to pay for half of it and you guys can split the rest. And the birthday boy was sitting there awkwardly the whole time. And it made me feel like there has to be a better way to solve these kinds of situations, because I'm in it on almost a weekly basis when I'm dining out in New York City with friends. So those kind of conundrums that you find yourself in are very common throughout all kinds of group dining experiences. When you check restaurants, they also have a lot of stipulations and rules about group dining. So of course, they're going to charge mandatory gratuity. They will limit the amount of credit cards you can use. And some of them make you pay to reserve, or they'll charge you if you're a no-show. So since this problem is so big for both restaurants and diners, I took my design thinking skills, since I'm a user experience designer, and I created a solution. So that solution is Soiree, and it's group reservations for group dining. It's an all-in-one platform where you can browse a restaurant, invite your friends, and pay. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about how that works. So for a stress-free special occasion, first you browse restaurants that love large parties and select a prefix menu so that no one's surprised by the bill and everyone's on the same page. Then you request your soiree to the restaurant. Once you're confirmed, either you'll pay or each individual guest will pay. And when it's time to dine, you're seated immediately. You order from your custom group menu, you eat, and you leave. So right now, before Soiree, there's a really disjointed experience. Let's say I wanted to plan my birthday party. I might make a reservation on OpenTable. I might invite my guests on Evite, but then as plus ones and RSVPs comes in, I have to keep going back to update that reservation or call the restaurant. And then when we get the bill, I have to keep going back to it for payment because they'll limit the amount of credit cards, or we won't be able to come to a consensus on what everyone ordered. With Soiree, it's a very seamless experience. You reserve on our platform, you send our invites, and those invites and RSVPs are directly tied to the reservation. So you don't have to be responsible for calling the restaurant if someone cancels or wants to invite their significant other. The payment is all handled online so that when you're dining, you don't have to worry about those kind of awkward interactions. And if there's a guest of honor, you can get a free meal with 10 RSVPs. So our solution is perfect for a variety of different requirements, whether it's your preference for cuisine, a dietary restriction, or a special occasion. For instance, one of my close friends has a vegan meetup in New York with over 3,000 members, and this would be perfect for her because she's handling large amounts of people that she doesn't always have the contact information for. So this solution is both better for diners and restaurants. When your RSVP and reservation are tied, there's no back and forth, and the restaurant gets that up-to-the-minute list of who's really attending. With a prefix menu, it's restaurant week every week, and you get to set lower prices for off-peak time slots. So a dinner on Saturday might be more than a dinner on Tuesday. And when you prepay, there's no awkward interactions. And of course, the restaurant can limit their financial risk and move that table faster. So why will users choose Soiree when there's so many other options to make a reservation? There's a lot of reasons. One is like we're in a post-pandemic world and people want to get together and dine over food when they haven't been able to. And there's a lot of stress when it comes to people being flaky, and it really impacts people's mental health. Some people I've interviewed said they don't even want to plan their birthday because of the stress it caused. So Soiree will really alleviate all of that. Another reason people will choose Soiree is that we have social reservations. All the other reservation platforms are a single player experience, but we make it social, and we take into account that not just one person is coming to the reservation. So why is only one person able to make that change and edit it? And also, a lot of PDFs for prefix menus already exist, and they're buried on the restaurant websites, but Soiree is really going to bring that to the surface and highlight them in a really fun way with Instagram-worthy dining spaces that are curated, and making sure we get lots of good video and photo content of the food. Because if there's a really engaging experience with that, people will come back to Soiree even when they're not planning a group dining experience. So we operate in a very big market, but we're tackling the $33 billion market of full-service restaurants with parties of 5 or more. And our big goal is to onboard 100 restaurants to reach $5 million in annual recurring revenue. If we could prove some of our assumptions, like there'll be 6 guests per soiree, or we can get 100 restaurants on the platform and 10 soirees per month, we can make a lot of profit. A little bit about me. Again, I'm a user experience designer, and I'm used to taking my design thinking skills and solving big problems. I was on the first user research team for iPad. I've created global design standards for Procter & Gamble, and I also was an innovation consultant for IBM. So now I'm taking all those skills and applying it to the task of solving group dining. I have a go-to-market strategy over the next couple months that's very detailed. But high level, first, we're going to validate our assumptions with college students aiming at graduation season in the spring. We want to test our real world user experience and our digital user experience and target a specific neighborhood in Chicago, which I live in and I'm very familiar with. Next, we're going to build community, and there's a big restaurant convention coming to Chicago in May. We want to get restaurants on board, and we want to use food influencers to spread the word throughout Chicagoland, and also be able to embed Soiree on different restaurant websites to increase our brand recognition. And then we want to focus on enterprise solutions in Q3, really get some corporate solutions out there, be able to do subscription soirees, recurring soirees, and manage teams. So right now we have over 100 people on the waiting list. We have customer interviews with both restaurants and diners, and a major Chicago university in the sales pipeline. With the $5,000 prize from Bubble Immerse, I will specifically be targeting this spring 23 pilot exclusively. I'll be using it to purchase print materials for the menus. We'll be using it for targeted marketing and influencers. And there's an exhibit at the National Restaurant Association for Startups, and part of the funding will be used for that as well. So all of you guys listening, I would love if you could go to soiree.co, that's soiree with 1 E, and join the waitlist to be the first to Soiree. And you can even email me and fill out a form to get a custom soiree planned wherever you live. So now we're going to transition to the product demo, where we are going to take you through the steps of how to plan an Immerse reunion. Thanks.
The Bubble Immerse team is all in Chicago, and we're gonna go to dinner. Let's use Soiree to plan it. Okay, group reservations for group dining. You can plan group dinners and wrangle payment for flaky friends. Let's see how that works. You browse restaurants and choose a prefix menu. Request your soiree to the restaurant, and once it's confirmed, you either pay or each guest pays. Let's explore the restaurants. There's some great looking restaurants. We have details about the neighborhood and the lowest price for each prefix menu. But I want to narrow it down because some of the people on our team are gluten-free. So let's click gluten-free And let's check out DuckDuckGo. Okay, on the profile page, we've got some great images of the interior. And what's this? Oh, it looks like it's a preview of what an invitation can look like if you host your own soiree. When we continue to scroll, there's more details about the restaurant. We can host a group reservation from 10 to 100 diners. And oh look, there's a complimentary guest of honor meal for parties of 10 or more. We have more details about the restaurant, the chef. She's a James Beard winner and a Top Chef winner. Okay, the prefix menu, Peking Duck Feast. It's 3 courses, $70 or $90 per guest with wine pairing. This looks great. There's a couple other menus, but I'm gonna go ahead and book my soiree. And the date will be March 20th, which is good because they suggest we book at least 1 week in advance. And our date is flexible. Let's say it can also be March 21st at 8 instead of 7. This time the host will pay, that's me. We'll do a Peking Duck Feast, and it's a business meeting. We've got a couple people from different cohorts coming. I'm not sure how many people will be, so let's say about 50 to 71. And we're gonna send our booking requests, and the invitation is displayed and previewed, just so we have a good idea of what to expect. Our request has been sent, and we have a notification that usually it will be confirmed in less than 24 hours, but to demo, our request is already confirmed. We see that we have 0 out of 71 invitations sent. We can invite our guests, manage the RSVPs once they come in. Then we can also pay. Since we're going to be paying, we selected that the host is paying, but we do still get that guest of honor meal with 9 or more RSVPs. And as those RSVPs roll in, the total will reflect that. But let's invite a guest. I'm going to invite myself, send the invitation. We've received our invitation and are cordially invited to the Bubble Immerse reunion. All the details are provided, as well as the Peking Duck Feast with all of the courses. We will RSVP yes. Do I want a wine pairing? Sure, why not? And we're going to RSVP. We get a thank you. We can either change that RSVP or go ahead and join Soiree and host our own group dinner. And that completes our product demo.
Thank you, Ajwa. That was beautiful. I've been reading the chat and everyone is just really shouting out your UI, UX experience in your design eye. So that's fantastic. So we're going to call up the judges so they can talk to you a bit about what they saw tonight. And so we'll just give them a moment while they're doing that. But I want to encourage everyone to ask questions during Ajwa's set and the following so that you can have them answered live after the judging panel. All right, thank you, judges. All right, so I'm gonna head on out, but you guys ask your questions and I'll come up at the last person.
Sure.
Hi, sorry, for some reason my camera is not turning back on.
No problem. I'll go first, Adjoa. And if the camera works, turn it back on. But it looks, love the product, love the idea. There you are, brilliant. Love the product, love the idea. One question came to mind, which was around the idea of flaky friends. Are there notifications built into the app? So thereafter, once someone's paid the bill or you're chasing after friends, are there automatic notifications built in?
Yes, I definitely need to include Google Calendar because that's kind of critical to keep people updated, especially if that RSVP changes. And that's definitely in my product timeline. I also want, when we get to a mobile app, for those notifications to be push notifications so that we can get like a notification that says 2 more days to RSVP, 1 more day till your soiree, Brilliant. 1 hour until you need to be there to get that flakiness under control.
Cool. That'd be awesome. Just thinking from a user perspective.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts in terms of user acquisition? Like not restaurants, but actually like customers?
So I'm going to start very, very local. I live in the Hyde Park neighborhood in Chicago that's pretty much dominated by the University of Chicago. Also, my building has about 500 people and like 90% of them go to the university. I have a lot of friends there, and also I'm tapped into the entrepreneurship center there. So I just want to start a really small pilot at first, just to test some of my assumptions and then test that this works in real life. And then I want to spread out to other campuses to target graduation events. Also, my friend I mentioned has a vegan meetup that has over 4,000 people in New York, and she's very, very eager to try this. So I have someone waiting to kind of test it in New York after I fill out my New York database, because right now it's mostly focused on Chicago.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Emmanuel.
I had a question. First of all, it looked beautiful. I had my wife come over. I was like, look at this. I wish I could do this. So it looked really good. So I had a question, and just making sure the onboarding, when you were getting other people is there a notification when people are going to pay, or what kind of payment? Maybe I missed that, but I wanted some clarification. What does it look like, the process for everyone paying and all those things? Because I saw in the presentation Venmo and different things. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Okay, yeah. So those other payment options were highlighted kind of as the status quo. So you won't use those with Soiree. Once you get your invitation, if the host is paying, there won't be a link to pay. You just RSVP and that's it. But if each guest pays to RSVP, you will need to pay. So that will also have to work with the different restaurants, because similar to Airbnb, they have their own stipulations about what that requirement might be. They might require a 50% down payment. They might, not be very busy, and they can change it so there is no down payment required. But there will be kind of a way for that RSVP to be locked in when you choose the option for each guest to pay individually, because we have to make sure that that financial risk is taken care of, or otherwise they could cancel the last minute and the restaurant has set aside, 50 seats and there's no recourse.
So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
I had a question. I don't know if maybe you breezed by it too quick, but could you talk a little bit about the business model? I could imagine that there's some type of transaction fee that you guys are collecting from this through payments, but what are some other ways you've been thinking about monetization?
Thanks for that question. So yes, there's a transaction fee that we're charging, which is 10%. We also eventually want to start charging a monthly fee for enterprise solutions. So let's say Bubble wanted to have everyone across the dispersed team on Soiree. We can have a per seat fee. And then we could also start working with different event planners and wedding planners who are kind of have a high volume of interactions, and maybe put up a limit so that perhaps you could plan one soiree at a time for free, but to add more menus or to plan more than soiree, that's when a paywall can kick in. But to start, it's simply a transaction fee.
Sweet. Okay. And my follow-up question to that was, oh wow, I literally just had it written down. It'll come back to me. I'm sorry. I literally had it written down. I apologize. It'll come back to me.
No worries.
But no, great job. Great job.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, judges. You guys can go ahead and exit, and we're going to take one question from the audience. So Mike wants to know, Adjoa, how does Soiree get paid?
So Soiree gets paid from restaurants and from users, similar to most kind of restaurant reservation systems that work where you actually have to pay before you book. There's a service fee at the end. So that service fee is tacked on, but then we also take a cut of whatever's goes through our platform, so that the restaurants have a little bit of like a marketing fee almost for us bringing those users to them.
Okay, a marketing fee and transaction fee. Okay, fantastic. There are more questions for you, Adjoa, in the chat, so just make sure to add folks and people. If you have questions for Adjoa, please continue sending them. We'll identify them and she'll be answering them in the chat. So thank you, Adjoa. We'll see you later on today.
All right.
So next,
Thank you so much.
of course, next up we have Antonia, who is the founder of Plantain. And so Antonia, go ahead and make your way to the stage and we are going to get started. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Antonia Hyman, and I'm the co-founder of Plantain, the go-to platform for culturally competent nutrition coaching, because eating salad isn't the only way to be healthy. So to understand the necessity of nutrition coaching, we need to first understand chronic disease in the US. It's a huge problem. 60% of Americans have at least one chronic condition, 40% have two or more. Employers lose $36 billion annually in lost productivity. So we're not even talking about costs associated with healthcare. I would know because I'm one of those employees. Nearly 2 decades ago, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And in the time since, I've missed work, I've been miserable, and I've spent thousands of dollars on hospital visits, co-pays, and medication. Now, medication certainly plays a role, but we know the importance of nutrition, particularly in the management of chronic disease. Take, for example, heart disease. It's one of the costliest and deadliest chronic conditions. Yet 59% of cardiologists say that nutrition can help just as much as medications. This is really important because heart health is incredibly important for women of color and women generally. So you might ask, if we know the importance of nutrition coaching and we know how expensive chronic conditions can be, why don't we see more effective nutrition interventions? The reason is because of barriers to care. So the first being access. How do I see the right provider? So in this case, I mean the ability to see a dietitian. That's someone who specializes in nutrition. Second, cost. Can I use my insurance? Can I apply my HSA, FSA dollars? Is this going to be prohibitively expensive? And third, how do I apply all of these nutrition guidelines to my everyday life? How's it going to be practical for me? Now, even if somehow you surmount all of these barriers, the chances are that you're going to be seen by a white dietitian. And that's because 80% of dietitians in the US are white. Now, that was certainly my experience. When I ended up seeing a provider, she was a lovely white woman, but she told me to stop seasoning my food so much. So big pause there because I'm Jamaican and we really value flavorful and well-seasoned food. It's a super important part of our culture. And that advice didn't work for me. So I know it doesn't work for others because we live in a multicultural society. And we know that food is more than calories, it's culture. So whether you're Jamaican or you're South American and you say plátanos, or you're West African and you say plantain, or you're Italian, you know that you want to eat your cultural foods. So any nutrition intervention needs to not only be accessible, cost-effective, and practical, it needs to be rooted in the person's culture. That's why my co-founder and I started Plantain. We help people make healthy choices through their cultural foods. We do that through offering 2 different services. First, we help clients get paired with a dietitian for sessions. And second, we offer a same-day question and answer portal. So we're attacking those 3 barriers head on. First, access. We've assembled a world-class network of dietitians who are credentialed and licensed. Second, cost. Most of the dietitians in our network take insurance or accept HSA, FSA as a form of payment. And third, implementation. The dietitians in our network are culturally competent so they can meet you where you're at. Now, we're going after the $5 billion nutrition coaching market, but we're starting with the $2 billion market focusing on people of color because that's where we think the need is most acute. My co-founder, Courtney, and I have a breadth of experience across startups and well-established firms in legal, financial services, and operations. We started Plantain because of our experience and our struggle finding a dietitian. That said, we didn't just build our company on our experience alone. We've done a ton of customer discovery. Because we're building a platform that connects 2 groups of people, we needed to understand both sides of the market. On the dietitian side, we've conducted over 40 interviews with dietitians to understand their pain points and test solutions. On the customer side, we've conducted over a dozen focus groups, launched a Google ad campaign, and also launched the first iteration of our product, where we tested 4 discrete product areas. We've learned an incredible amount from this customer discovery process, and it's helped with how we've gone about building Plantain. First, our target clients want diverse providers. Of the nearly 70 dietitians who are on our platform, 98% are people of color. You can see some of those folks on your screen. Second, our dietitians want help acquiring clients, not just for coaching sessions, but also for other services such as cooking classes, something that's highly scalable down the line. And third, both clients and dietitians want the ability to search for dietitians. On the client side, they want to find the provider easy and quickly. On the dietitian side, they want to connect with other diverse dietitians and grow their professional network. So you'll see in our product demo, search is an incredibly important feature. We've even added a pairing quiz for clients so they can get matched to the right provider as soon as possible. Right now, we're actively pitching employers and we're testing out a hybrid pricing model. First, we charge a per employee fee for access to our concierge matching system and question and answer portal. Second, we charge a usage-based fee for every completed session with a dietitian. In the future, we'll add cooking classes because we know that's immensely popular. Here's an example contract. For a company with 1,000 employees, if we assume a usage rate of 7%, which is pretty low, we expect gross revenues of $100,000. We anticipate our gross margin will be 50% at least, so we're netting $50,000. This is a pretty standard contract, and we've already made inroads with employers. That said, in the future, we expect to service much larger companies, so we expect that these contract sizes will be 5 to 10x what I'm presenting here. With the $5,000 from Bubble, we're going to expand our ability to see clients by hiring an administrative expert. That expert will help us do 3 things. 1, recruit new dietitians to our platform. 2, expand the number of dietitians who accept HSA, FSA as a form of payment because we know that's incredibly important to clients. And 3, increase the licensure capacity through a process called reciprocity. I'm super excited about what we're building at Plantain. You can check out our current website at www.getplantain.com. In a few short weeks, we'll be launching our new web app on Bubble, but I'm happy to give you a sneak peek right now. Check out our demo. Maxine recently discovered that she's pregnant. While she's excited about the new addition, Maxine knows that she needs to make a few lifestyle modifications, starting with how she eats. She's not sure where to begin, so Maxine decides to check out Plantain to find a dietitian. She also suffers from irritable bowel disease, so Maxine wants expert advice from a dietitian who specializes in gut health and prepartum nutrition. Maxine is excited to see that Plantain dietitians specialize in prepartum nutrition, gut health, and a range of other conditions. Maxine is too familiar with the abysmal stats about Black maternal health, so she's pleased to see that many Plantain dietitians look like her. She's created an account earlier today, so she decides to log in to see what Plantain has to offer. This time, Maxine decides to create a client account. Here, she'll complete the 4-step onboarding process. She selects her areas of interest, notes where she lives, and her insurance. Clicks continue to complete the final step. After completing the onboarding process, Maxine is taken to her dashboard. Maxine's dashboard gives her a high-level overview of everything she can do using Plantain. She can update her profile, which was created during the onboarding process. She can view her favorites. She can check out answers to submitted questions. And in a few weeks, Maxine can RSVP to join Plantain dietitian-led classes on maternal nutrition. For now, Maxine wants to see all of the providers who can help her. She clicks the Explore All button to browse profiles. On the Explore page, Maxine notes that she can search for a dietitian based on specialty, location, and form of payment. She also notes on this page that she'll be able to search for content and classes in a few weeks. For now, Maxine continues her dietitian search. It's really important to Maxine that she's able to use her insurance or HSA FSA dollars, so she includes that in the search. She also selects prepartum nutrition and gut health because those are the areas of interest to her. She's pleased to see that there are many Plantain dietitians that fit her search. She favorites Charmaine's profile in hopes of returning to it later and decides to check out Ray's profile in depth. Maxine reads over Ray's profile and likes Ray's focus on integrative functional nutrition. Maxine favorites Ray's profile and submits a request to meet. When Ray logs into her dietitian account, she'll see Maxine's request. In the past, Maxine struggled to find a culturally competent, diverse provider, so she's pleased to see that she can schedule a free consultation immediately. She does so for tomorrow. Maxine is excited about Ray, but decides to use Plantain's White Glove Assistance Program. The request form is designed to capture what Maxine wants in a dietitian. She quickly completes the form and copies in a quick message to personalize her request. Maxine is given an option to schedule a session with a Plantain concierge team member, but decides to head back to the dashboard instead. Back in the dashboard, Maxine can check out the profile she's favorited and see the request she submitted. While she waits to be paired, Maxine can also ask a question. All questions are reviewed by Plantain dietitians and answered within 24 hours. For now, Maxine checks out the tips for success. She's excited about taking control of her health. Would you like to do the same? Check out www.getplantain.com.
That was amazing. I don't know if you've been checking out the chatter in the chat, but a lot of people have questions, but we're going to give the judging panel the opportunity to ask first. So while the judging panel is coming up here, you guys, if you want to check out Plantain and you are interested in the solution, click on the link here on the bottom left so you can learn more about what Antonia has built over the last 10 weeks. And with that being said, I'm going to give it over to the judges to ask their questions. Take it away.
Yeah, congratulations. This was a very beautiful product, awesome product. How do you guarantee the quality of the dietitians? Like, how do you vet that side of the marketplace?
Yeah, we have an extensive process that my co-founder actually leads. But one of the things we've done is actually to partner with an organization called Diversified Dietetics. And so we get a lot of referrals through them. So at some point, even before they come to us, they're kind of sanity checked. We also have a full onboarding process. So what you didn't see in the demo is the dietitian side, where they actually submit their onboarding requests. But it takes 2 weeks for us to fully verify that. So we ask them for their credentials to, one, make sure that they can practice in the state in which they say they can practice in. And we also conduct an onboarding interview. So that's a fully vetted process to make sure that, to your point, random folks aren't just signing up people who can't actually provide the advice that other folks need.
Sure. Cool. That was my follow-up, actually. What was going to be on the provider or the dietitian side of it. Just more so just really asking, I guess, how will their onboarding, their date, or their onboarding process be? But no, you answered that question. So no, great job as well. I'm type 2 diabetic, so this is super helpful for somebody like me.
Yeah.
I have one question. As you're thinking about onboarding users, you mentioned potentially B2B partnerships. Have you spoken to any sort of enterprise clients yet? And, what have been some of those reactions from them?
Yeah, we have spoken. And I can't give the name of one, but I will say one of the big 4 accounting firms that we spoke to was very interested in a product like ours. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, we're providing that concierge access to a dietitian, but they really believe in the vision of where the product is going, which is expanding access to nutrition coaching generally. So yes, you can meet one-on-one for coaching, but 2, you can ask questions 24/7 and have a professional, that's not just Google, for your mom, answering who has a scientific kind of background. So we've gotten a lot of good interest, and that's really why we're trying to scale up the providers on our platform, because we want to make sure that we're able to meet the client capacity.
Awesome. Best of luck with those conversations. I think that will be awesome to unlock a lot of value for you guys.
I'm just gonna be honest. Everyone asked all the best questions already, but I think this one, I was wondering. First of all, excellent job. Love the colors. Really good stuff. The one thing I had a question on was talking to dietitians. What was the onboarding like? Did you watch them onboard? Did you see how they interacted with the platform? I would love more details on that if you could.
Yeah, we have. So we actually tested it out in our first web application, and that's why we were able to be so informed with how I designed the onboarding in Bubble. We had to figure out, one, what are the services they want to offer? And that was a key piece of learning, that it's not just one-on-one coaching. A big part of it is going to be the classes that they offer. Two, we learned, okay, where do they stop in the onboarding flow? So understanding, should they be able to come back and add more information? So we spent an extensive amount of time working with them, because again, it is a two-sided marketplace and we need to get both right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, judges. You guys can go ahead and exit stage left. And based on, we have a lot of questions in the audience, Antonia, about your customer discovery process. So one person wants to know, in customer discovery, have you found that POCs with dietary challenges stop seeing dietitians because food recommendations don't fit with their preferred cuisine? So you touched on this a bit, and obviously with your personal story, so I'd love you to dig a little bit more into what the research on your end has looked like.
Absolutely. So we conducted 13 focus groups, and the overwhelming trend was that people had an experience where they saw a provider who told them to eat something like bagel thins, right? Or they saw a provider who didn't understand that they eat okra and not salad. And that was a huge turnoff. In fact, I got a message yesterday on LinkedIn from a gentleman who said, I thought that was just going to be the status quo. I thought that was going to be my experience. So thank you for challenging that. One thing that I do want to mention is that another thing we focused on is, our clients going to keep coming back? So after you have a certain number of sessions, do you just disappear and go do something else? And what we found, that it's very much tied to stage of life. So I'll use myself as an example. I had ulcerative colitis. I wanted to see someone for that, so I did. I was recently diagnosed with high blood pressure, so now I've engaged the same dietitian again. Now I'm getting married in November and I want to look my best, so that's a different health goal. So I have lots of different questions from my dietitian. And then guess what? In 2 years, I probably want to have kids, and I have no idea what to do for pregnancy. So I'm going to have a lot of questions about that. Now, the trend here is that the need for guidance is continual. The way you interact with those providers might change. And that's why we want to be the one-stop shop, the platform for culturally competent coaching.
Okay, thank you for that pretty thorough response. We appreciate it. Antonia, we're going to see you a little bit later today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up tonight, you guys, we have Obi, who is the founder of Mara. And so Obi, go ahead and make your way to the stage, and we're going to get into her pitch and her product demo. Hey, Obi.
Awesome. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Obi Jakuma, and I'm the co-founder of Mara, which is a platform that simplifies Black hair care through science. The hair care industry has failed Black women, with shortcomings starting at the corporate level and trickling all the way down to community outcries and personal frustrations, with the most recent example of that failure actually being the recent acquisition of Miele Organics. In January of this year, P&G announced that they would be announcing the Black-owned brand Miele Organics. Now, Miele had previously established a cult-like following within the Black hair community. However, after the acquisition, there was an immediate public outcry of women foreshadowing the inevitable formulation change that would be enacted by their new owner. Just as shea moisture had declined in efficacy, Miele was soon to follow. You see, the problem is the major corporations who own the majority of large-scale product development don't have a key focus area on ethnic hair, or simply don't understand and or value the science and the importance behind the ingredients that we need. So when they make a formulation change, which makes sense, they're integrating the new product they acquired into their product development vertical, they're using the resources that they have, detrimental outcomes can occur. See an example here on the left of people gathering in one of the many online hair care communities to warn others about this upcoming change. And note the over 230 people who upvoted this comment. And look at the comments on the right. Note the comments and people just talking about what can actually occur when you have a product that's not actually correctly formulated for your hair. And you see these remarkably small, these small changes can have a remarkable ripple effect, resulting in women feeling overwhelmed that they can't find things that work for their hair, lost because they simply don't even know where to start, and in unfortunately common cases, unhappy and ashamed of the very hair that's growing from their head. And this is something that my team and I know very intimately. I myself, back in 2015, I grew so frustrated with my own hair that I had just damaged so severely through misuse and just through misinformation that I actually cut it off to about 1 inch in length. And that was completely devastating for me because I only did it because of the damage I had sustained and how embarrassed I was to actually go out in public with my own hair. The agency of deciding on my own appearance felt like it was completely stripped away from me. And that's why we developed Mara, the preeminent destination for Black hair that makes hair simple. You see, through our user research, when we were kind of developing and thinking of what this product should be, there were 3 key things we really wanted to keep in mind. The first is there's never going to be one big whish bang product that every person's going to use. That's just not how women shop or interact with their hair, and variability is inevitable. The second is that most women don't have the time and they really don't have the hair knowledge. And the third is that consumers are so tired of companies just trying to push product. They want education and they want to learn how to care for their hair, and they want to feel that companies actually care about their success in doing that. So with this in mind, we knew we had to create something that wasn't just another product, doesn't require that much time by the user, and actually educates women about their hair. And that's what led us to create the Mara mobile application. So how does it work? First, we identify your hair profile through the Mara Healthy Hair Quiz. It's a 15-question behavioral assessment that determines the 3 most important attributes that impact hair health and product needs. We collect a significant amount of information regarding user habits and responses to product in order to best understand what's currently missing from your regimen. The second is the Mara 7 Routine Builder, which gives women the building blocks to adopt healthy hair habits and the means to easily track their journeys and see their progress, all while providing supportive reminders based on a user's interaction within the app. And the third is Mara's product matching algorithm, which uses the user's hair profile result, which they got from the quiz, and provides personalized product scores to make product selection in-store and online virtually effortless. And you see the opportunity here is immense. Black women spend 9 times more on hair care than any other demographic in the United States. And that translates to roughly 18% of their total annual income going towards hair care and beauty. Many financial advisors recommend that you shouldn't spend more than 10 to 15% of your take-home pay on food. And we're spending more than that when it comes to hair and beauty. And it completely transcends socioeconomic barriers because 43.3% of the entire Black hair care market is completely made up of low-income households. And this is because for Black women, our hair is not a luxury. It is an integral part of our identity, and caring for it is an absolute necessity. And overall, the Black hair care market continues to grow. It topped $2.9 billion in 2022, and that's just products. That's not including styling tools and fake hair and wigs. And this engagement in the market has actually resulted in us being able to build such a large community through just leveraging word of mouth alone. You see, prior to this MVP, Mara has existed mostly in the form of our quiz, which has a completion rate of about 25% higher than the industry average. We've amassed over 1,900 community members through only leveraging word of mouth and social media channels and hair care groups. And we plan to go back out to those to get them to sign up for our beta when we have our app. So why are we the team to do this? My team is composed of my 2 sisters. Our CEO, a global marketing executive with over a decade of experience building teams, scaling businesses, and developing strategy. our COO, a seasoned operations and project manager, and most importantly, a hair industry native who created a grassroots protective styling community, and myself, a designer and an engineer who leveraged my scientific approach to problem solving to help develop our solution rooted in proven methods of trichology. Now, if we were to win that 5,000, our key uses of the money, or one of our big key uses of the money, I should say, is to really build out our incentive and our rewards program for our beta tester. You see, this is really important for us because our beta testing program is essentially going to turn that first batch of users into true brand ambassadors. And this is because in this industry, word of mouth is by far the strongest marketing tool you can have. Additionally, we're looking for mentors and advisors in the beauty industry or at the intersection of beauty and technology to help propel our business forward in the coming months. And lastly, for those out there in the audience who have any connections to other accelerators, especially Y Combinator, we're definitely interested. Now, before we get into the product demo, a quick overview of what we did the last 10 weeks. Our core focus was really to build out the initial shell of the 3 core features and make sure that we're fully functional. And we had a particular focus on 2 things. One is the dashboard. The dashboard encourages continued engagement, which is crucial as we'll be offering this to users via a monthly subscription. And the second is the product scanner and the matching algorithm, which, as mentioned on the slide, is something we're going to continue to build out. Now, let's get into the product.
Meet Jade. Jade has natural hair and has been struggling with severe breakage and an itchy scalp. She recently cut off a lot of damage, but she still hasn't been able to grow her hair past her shoulder. A friend of hers recommended that she check out Mara to help get her back on track. As Jade begins the onboarding process, she's greeted by an overview of what to expect before signing on. She's told she's going to identify a hair profile, build a custom routine, and be able to track that routine and her progress. This sounds like something she would like to do, so she decides to sign on. After she signs in, she's prompted to select a hair profile. Now, because this is her first time hearing about Mara, she decides to take the quiz. The Mara quiz is a 15-question behavioral assessment that asks basic questions about your habits and how your hair responds to certain products as a way to assess the 3 most important attributes that impact hair health and product needs. The quiz assumes that a user has little to no knowledge about their hair to make it easy and accessible for everyone and ensure that a user cannot accidentally skew their answers. Now, you can see on the following page that her hair profile was classified as Madison. That means that she has high porosity hair, medium to thick in texture, and is very much in need of protein in order to achieve optimal hair health. With Jade's new hair profile results, she goes ahead and selects Madison to begin building her profile. Once she's logged in, she's introduced immediately to her dashboard with a welcome prompt letting her know that she should check in and take her first progress photo, which she decides she's going to do because she wants to set a baseline for tracking her hair growth. Here on this screen, she's also told that she should try to check in every 30 days so she can truly document her journey. Now, going ahead and taking her first photo, she stretches her hair out just so she can get an idea where it falls. And in this particular case, due to her lack of growth, she isn't too happy, but she does want to let them know she just had a big cut and she stopped taking collagen recently. When she saves that down, it immediately populates her goal tracker. Here, creates a historical timeline of every past goal check-in that she's ever had so she can see her progress. Additionally, at the top, it compares photos. So for example, say that in a month from now, Jade decides to check in once again. If she takes a new photo and say now she's feeling a little bit better, it auto-compares it at the top of the screen. Deciding to explore her account even more, Jade selects her profile. Here, she's given a high-level overview of the responses that she received when she first took the Mara quiz. She's able to see her porosity, her texture, and what her hair needs in order to be healthy. She also decides to set some goals. And if at any point she forgets the new routine that she was given, she can easily reference it here. With that, Jade decides, let's create this baseline and make it even more thorough. She's going to log some of her recent activities. As mentioned earlier, Jade recently had a cut, so she decides to log some salon services. She had a cut and some natural styling. At the bottom, you'll see that it also populates and forever keeps a roster and history of anything that she's logged. Now, going back to the progress log, she also decides she wants to do a length check. Using the guide, she checks in and decides her hair is at roughly 16 inches. Now, again at the bottom, she'll create a history and be able to watch her growth in real time. Finally, Jade decides that she wants to assess the products in her own home. She's anxious to see if what she's been using is actually meant for her hair. So she goes ahead to the product scanner. Here, she's prompted to launch her camera and scan the product barcode. Once scanned, she's given a match result as well as a deep look at all the ingredients, and unfortunately, this product does have a few hazardous ingredients that have been flagged. Additionally, if she wants to know why she received such a low match result, she can go ahead and click in, and there she's given an understanding that it's the moisture-protein balance that is being assessed, along with the needs of her hair. Because her hair was flagged as needing protein, and this product doesn't have very many proteins in it, it was given a low score. Here, she can also decide to favorite if she wants to save it anyway.
That was amazing, Obi. Again, lots of chatter in the chat. We have a lot of questions for you. But first, we're going to bring the judging panel up so they can ask theirs, and then we'll get into the audience questions. Remember that you can ask any questions that you like. We'll answer one of them, but afterwards, the founders will be in the chat and answer all the questions that you have. So come on up, judging panelists, and we'll get started.
All right. Sorry, I'm having issues with my camera as well.
First of all, I love it. I love it. Did you barcode API? My goodness, how much time did you have to build that thing? It was great. It was great. I just have one question regarding the, I mean, if it's secret sauce, you don't have to tell me in detail, but I was wondering about the quiz and if someone scores and they disagree, or how, could you talk a little bit about the scoring and everything like that?
Yes.
As the person is taking
I'm not
the
going
quiz
to
for
go
their hair?
into it just because, as you mentioned, it is a little bit of a secret sauce. But what we're kind of doing, we're really looking at what we found is like 3 core attributes in your hair. And so one of them that everyone is kind of very familiar with at this point is porosity. And then we're also looking at kind of the level of moisture and protein that currently exists in your hair. And the way that we do that is by basically asking simple behavioral questions. So we're able to get kind of a baseline of, you know, if you're, for example, if you're just not washing your hair frequently enough, it's likely your hair is dry, right? So just little things like that. And so that's kind of how we create those different profiles, and then how we ultimately determine what you actually need.
Okay. All right. Thank you very. Oh, and does it change over time? If you get more, say for instance, you onboard 1,000 or 2,000, will it change? Say for instance, when you have more data, things like that.
So we would like to make it more robust at some point, yes. And so right now it is, I guess it's a little bit more rudimentary. Like we would like to probably look at some more dimensions and actually make your profile even more kind of aggressive and personalized. But you know, well, when we get there, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Okay. I can go next. Oh,
no, absolutely.
I'll let you go, Doc. It's all good. Love the product. Totally relate to the problem. 100%. I had one question, which was around the business model. As you're thinking about future sort of potential revenue streams, I see loads of opportunities around like selling products are there, recommending products. What are you guys thinking for that?
So first is just going to be subscription based, $10 a month from when we kind of pulled potential users. That kind of seemed to be the sweet spot number. Also seems to align with other lifestyle apps. But then the kind of next one, as you mentioned and alluded to, it's kind of the natural next step is to then offer some sort of API connector to purchase products. So then we would do some sort of transaction fee at that point, and kind of build out more of the marketplace side. So that would be kind of the immediate first two. But as you said, we kind of see this can go a lot of ways. There can be a lot more white glove services, like consultation-like services. So we definitely see building this out and having a lot of potential revenue streams coming from this for sure.
Absolutely. And that's what I was actually, thank you for that follow up, because I was actually going to lead right into that in terms of, it seems like you guys are collecting a lot of data here. So my question is, what are you looking to do with the data? Because I think I'm just spitballing right here, but it seems like you'll have a lot of data points, especially from, somebody who specializes in built, a startup and specializes in black hair. There isn't a lot of data out there readily available. So I'm curious to know, like, what do you look to do with that data? Are you looking to share that upon service providers or to hair companies, or what is the ultimate goal with that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in terms of sharing the data, we don't have an exact plan, but I would say we are definitely open to the idea of kind of creating, even if it's reports to help with R&D, because that's clearly the issue that I illustrated in the beginning of the pitch. So exactly. So to even be able to do that and say, hey, we have all of this aggregate that can actually help you produce that better product that we're all looking for, that's definitely
awesome. And question, Nasu Ibu. A little bit. Do you understand?
Yeah,
okay,
I understand.
I threw you off right there. I was gonna say. So
my family's on.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off right there. I was like, okay, I see the name Obi. I'm like, okay, this is my namesake right here. Not to be too,
my gosh.
Not to be too biased. So it's three of you, your sister, and your sister are running this, correct? Awesome, yes. Awesome. And where do you get the name Mara from? Mara, like, where is that derived?
It's exactly where you think it's. Yeah, it's exactly from that.
Awesome. Love the backstory. No, best luck to everything. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
What does a competitive landscape look like? I would assume more people are trying to get into this market, right?
Yes. So it's actually really interesting because most people that we've found in most companies that are kind of trying to address this issue, which I guess it comes down to, how can Black women find products that work, or like what product works for Black women? The normal answer is like, let's just create personalized products. So you have the pros, you have the functions of beauty, you have Quay started doing their kind of thing in that and dabbling more in the personalization. And then you have those who are going the full tech side, but they're a little bit too complex. For example, you have the Myvanas. That's an application that you actually can speak to a consultant to actually analyze your hair, but you have to literally send a lock of your hair to someone. They analyze it, give you a report back. Then you have an hour-long meeting. It's like, you get that analysis, but it's very arduous. It's time consuming. It's not like it happens right now. It happens over a week process. And then there's kind of another app that does something similar to that. And then they make their own custom product. So we find a lot of it is either kind of pushing product, or it's still kind of that more archaic. Like if I were to actually go in, have someone analyze my hair, it's not really that DIY teaching me how to do it myself. It's more, you're kind of like essentially diagnosing me, giving me something. And, I'd have to basically keep coming back to you if I wanted to change my routine up, right? Because you're not really telling me exactly how to manage it myself. It's more you're kind of giving me that diagnosis. So that's currently what's out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, judges. Obi, we're going to take one question from the audience. So Zamara wants to know, one thing that comes to mind is the changes women can experience during puberty, pregnancy, menopause. Will the platform allow you to make changes to your profile, right, as your hair goals change?
Yes. So Absolutely. We also have a section that actually tracks life events like that. And, just for the MVP, it's pretty rudimentary, but you were way ahead of us because we definitely understand that. Our CEO, she suffered from postpartum shedding. So that is something we definitely want to be able to build in, and to also provide even specific recommendations for when you are going through life events like that, that we do know completely change your hair. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Obi. We appreciate it. Beautiful app and beautiful presentation. And so you're welcome. And so our final finalist for the night, everyone, is Peter Pearson, who is the founder of Ambitious Rewards. So make sure you're asking those questions in the chat. And Peter, go ahead and make your way to the stage and give our last presentation.
Oh, can you hear me? Perfect. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Pearson, and I'm hailing all the way from the UK. So shout out to those that are staying up with me to this late. And I am the founder of Ambitious Rewards. Ambitious Rewards is an incentives platform for children and young adults. There are a lot of problems plaguing the next generation, mainly physical and mental health issues. And as you can see from the headlines here, children are doing 20% less physical activity. There's obesity problems. Children's mental health is topping the list of parents' worries, including suicide-related behavior. And recently, a professor in the UK actually did a lot of research on what he's coining the gender play gap. You may think that these things are disconnected, but actually they're very much connected in terms of how we recognize and reward children and young adults. Once a parent actually said to me, "These classes saved my daughter's life." This referred to some classes, some gymnastics classes that I had organized and was teaching. This quote at the time actually brought tears to my eyes because her daughter was being bullied and was struggling with self-harm. But after joining these classes, everything changed and her life transformed. This is a story that is a true reminder that the youth are facing tremendous challenges. Extracurricular activities provide a sense of belonging and purpose. Ambitious Rewards incentivizes participation in these very activities, promoting a much stronger mental well-being. So what's the actual solution we're providing here? We're looking to incentivize children to become more active and provide a great feedback loop between them, their parents, activity providers, and commercial brands. You can think of this as your Starbucks rewards app for children's activities. So how it works, my gosh, it could not be any simpler. And I can't believe anyone hasn't done this before. Students will be interested in joining an activity. Maybe they've just recently joined an activity. They'll achieve a goal, and the teachers on the platform will then be able to award the students some points. As these points accrue in their accounts, they will then be able to spend these points and redeem them for discounts with commercial brands that are on the platform. So why on earth would this work? Because as you can imagine, as the student continues to achieve more goals, their progression will accelerate and their confidence will increase. Commercially, a brand will also gain new customers in a new market that they may not have had access to before. So why am I the most qualified person to actually tackle this problem? Well, as a science graduate, having a master's in chemistry and entrepreneurship from a top 20 university in the UK, coupling that with my corporate experience, having a small stint in software engineering, and also as a commodities trader for around 8 years, I have a very analytical approach to solving problems. I'm a serial entrepreneur and an industry expert, having founded very successful children's activity brands, including a globally successful gymnastics academy, and also Acrotrix, which is a gymnastics franchise still operating in the UK today. It was what we did in Acrotrix that actually inspired the founding of Ambitious Rewards. We created an online platform during lockdown with a reward system, and we now have a strong community of around 1,000 plus of teachers, parents, students. There are many use cases for this platform and this app, including, as we said, local activity providers who are looking to increase their retention rates, especially in teens, parents who may not be able to afford everything that comes along with activities, and then moving on to governing bodies and more. We are looking at the market of those school-age children who take activities week in, week out, and they're spending roughly about $19 a week of allowance. The business model has 3 prongs. Transaction fees, a bit like affiliate marketing, taking a small amount of the discounts that are being redeemed. User subscriptions on the organization side. So you're talking your cricket clubs, your hockey clubs, your baseball clubs, your dance academies. They will be paying for the platform. And the parents will have a freemium model where they'll have a free account for their children. But if they want their points to go further, or if they want more features, they will pay an extra amount on top. But really what is the crux here is the data insights. And at scale, because we are capturing data on demographics of the teachers, the organization, the activity types, the students themselves, how often they're being rewarded, what they're being rewarded for, what they're redeeming their points for, we can actually create very accurate and very insightful reporting for commercial brands. We could go super granular at scale. We could say, right, we know that between ages of 8 to 12 students in Kentucky, they actually prefer to redeem their points for hoodies rather than leggings in a certain apparel brand, right? We could go super granular for that. In terms of a social aspect, we can actually highlight disparities in how we reward and recognize children and young adults' efforts. We can highlight disparities in demographics, including gender, age, all these different things. So there's a lot that we can do with this. In terms of the traction, as I talked about before, I have a gymnastics franchise running in the UK. We also teach teachers, and we have 400 plus dance school owners that we're ready to roll this out to. Having spoken to a few of them already, 7 of them are already ready to be on board in the next 2 weeks. These 7 have a minimum of 200 students, which means there'll be a minimum of 1,400 students, users on the platform from the get-go. I have already spoken to the Institute of Children's Activity Providers, Sport England, Cannons, and Chambers of Commerce. My personal mentor and a previous customer corporate responsibility director of Tesco UK, which is the biggest supermarket in the UK, even said, I wish that someone had come up with this idea then. I love the combination of fitness, mental health, and reward, and think this has every chance of being a real commercial success. In terms of the vision, we look to grow our users, our brand partnerships, and gain that early revenue, moving on to corporate partnerships, and then even thinking about in the future, the AI play. Imagine you could get relevant suggestions to improve your activity based on your previous performance. We're looking for Bubble developers to join the team, and this is exactly how we would spend the 5,000 if we did win it. So thank you very much for listening, and let's head over to the product demo.
Hi everyone, let's dive in as a recent dance school, Harefield Academy of Dance, who have joined the platform. The first page Harefield see after logging in is their overview, which allows them to see a snapshot of how the entire academy is doing, which is almost impossible without speaking to every staff member and every student every single week. This snapshot allows the owners of the academy to see where their strengths lie and what general skills they may need to work on across all 400 of their students. Academies like Harefield know how important friendly competition is to incentivizing the students, and they often check their leaderboard to highlight students from time to time. This gives students a real boost of confidence. So how do the students even get onto the leaderboard? We'll show you now. The organization admin or any of their staff members who also have their own accounts can reward any student in the academy like this. They can be rewarded for core skills to their activity, in this case, dance, or life skills and even community skills. Harefield Dance are firm believers in teaching students the importance of goal setting. In order to stay on top of this, without the use of notepads and papers that often get lost, they now check goals that have been set by the students like this. The students' goals are monitored and updated here. Once marked as complete by the admin or any of Harefield's teachers like so, the student will see this goal jump to their completed goals section in their account. Safeguarding is of utmost importance to academies like Harefield, and for this reason, they enjoy the feature of being able to screen those who are joining the academy via the platform to ensure they are in the right place. Approving requests like this are as simple as this. Here we have the staff tab. It's important to note that staff members are rewarded automatically when their students complete goals, creating real-time staff appraisals, which has never been done before. So now let's take a look at Leanne's account. Leanne is a parent of several children who do various activities. Leanne is greeted with a similar overview to that of an organization. However, this time it's specific to her children, which is a breath of fresh air for her, being able to see how her kids are doing in their activities without having to constantly try and find a minute to speak to each instructor after class, which is like trying to get Beyonce's autograph, is almost heaven sent to her. In between drop-offs, she can even see recently completed goals. Leanne knows her children are individuals and not clones, as much as that would make her life easier. She checks the development of each of her children in the My Children tab here. Parents like Leanne barely have a minute to themselves, so by tapping her daughter Gemma's purple card, Leanne can quickly scan to see how they are doing and in detail here. By tapping this plus button, she can request to join another organization here, which allows Gemma to start receiving rewards from multiple activities into the same account. If any new teachers reward Gemma some points, they will appear here. A great way to strike up a conversation at the Dance Academy if they ever get a moment. Question is, why would Gemma even want these points? By tapping here, we can jump into Gemma's own account. She's received so many points, she's at the highest level, which is a direct reflection of her efforts in practice. Gemma loves to go into her account to update her goals. Like this. But watch out, if she tries to do everything all at once, she's reminded to slow down. This is a feature her mother Leanne loves, as she is always telling her to do one thing at a time. Toggling this button shows all her goals for all her activities kept in one place. She can scroll down to see exactly how long it takes her to achieve certain goals, which motivates her to improve quicker and quicker. And finally, when we head over to the spending tab, you can really understand how Gemma is motivated to do well in her dance academy, as she can actually spend her points on brands that are affiliated to the platform. She is so excited to get a discount off some new sneakers this semester, all because she worked super hard. Leanne is even happier that she didn't have to spend as much this month too. If you would like to see more, including the teacher dashboard and onboarding, please reach out. Thanks for watching.
Fantastic job, Peter. We appreciate all the effort that you put into it. And I'm saying this again and again, but everyone's commenting on how beautiful the apps look and how beautiful and how functional they are. So great job. And so we're going to bring the judging panelists on stage now so we can do our last Q&A before we transition into our intermission part of the night. And so why don't you go ahead, Doc, do you want to get started so we can jump right in while everyone else is coming up?
Sure. Yeah, great job. Loved it. Thank you very much. Quick question. When you're trying to get the different commercial brands onboarded, how difficult is that? Are you already in touch with them, or do you have a plan later on, or do you do local companies first? Thank you.
So there's two ways we're getting brands on board. As I alluded to earlier in the pitch, I already have access to quite a niche community of dancers, gymnasts, acrobats, and we have lots of events that happen. And I'm connected to a lot of the brands that serve these communities. So I'm actually in talks to 3 of them, including one of them, which is a big equipment supplier who is just enamored with this idea to get, to target their specific activity. And then the idea is to get a critical mass of users and say, hey, look, big brands, this is working. So you need to either jump on board or you're going to miss the boat, because there'll be a sense of, we don't want too many brands of the same type on the app. So there'll be an exclusivity access to this. So that will hopefully tug on the strings of the big, the huge brands.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Question. So if I'm doing this for my child and my child is on the platform, let's say she's doing, gymnastics or something like that, like you said, am I going to have, so I'm going to, as a parent, I'm going to be basically the account holder. So let's say we want to give her access to it, in the next, 5 years, whenever she wants to keep it. Is there going to be a way where she can track her progress and be able to see that as well? Is there going to be like an archive, or how does that get handed over? Let's say my child is at a certain age, they want to have some independence and they want to track it themselves. And is there like a way where I can add seats to like the profile or something like that? Or is that something where
precisely? Yes. So as we know, when a child, I think Instagram, is the 13 or 14 that they're allowed to jump onto the platform. We wouldn't make it that young. We're looking at around the 15, 16 mark, at which point you can then you can turn their account into a user account. So then they can log in with their email address. They can manage it that way, because at that age, we'd hope that they would be slightly more independent. So yes, there is that functionality already inbuilt into the app. You can turn that account into a user account whenever you see fit, because you're the parent. You know your children.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
Great
work on the UI as well.
Yep, it looks amazing, and awesome to see another Brit on here as well. Peter, one question from my end. Are there any competitors in the space, or are there other tools that parents are using at all?
Do you know what? This question is really hard to answer. So thanks for saving it. Thanks for saving it to last. I'm going to say no, but that I don't want to freak anyone out to think, oh, well, if there's no competitors, then there's no market. No, that's not true. There are apps that do similar styles, but not quite what we're doing. For example, there's an app called Class Dojo, which is huge in the US, but they're focused on the school day. From my lived experience, most of the development of children happens in their extracurricular activities, in their soccer teams, in their American football teams, in their gymnastics clubs, in their dance academies. This is where it happens. I've taught for the past 21 years, and I know this for a fact. And nobody seems to care about anything that happens outside of school. So what I'm doing here is empowering parents to see and have transparency in everything that happens outside of the classroom, right? They're spending all this money running their kids to their various activities, but then they can't actually know. They don't really know what's happening. Katie or Simone will jump in the car and they'll say, "How was practice?" And they'll be like, "Oh, okay," and they won't have transparency. And this is an app that can actually quantify. Again, my analytical approach to the problem can actually quantify exactly how they're doing, because the parent can say, "Oh, Simone, I can see my email says you got 20 points for your organization today. What did you organize?" And then that strikes up an immediate conversation, and the parent can actually see what is going on, almost live, with all of their children across all of their activities in one place. So I'm quite passionate, as you can tell.
I love it. Love it.
So,
thank you for that. Thank you for that and giving us some color there.
Okay, so we are going to jump right into the question from the audience. We can stay on time tonight, but judges, thank you so much. I appreciate the questions you have for Peter tonight. So Peter, a few people want to know, actually, a couple people followed up on this question. So how do you plan to onboard Michael and Nelsie and a few other people want to know, how do you plan to onboard children that are in lower income households that don't have access to these types of activities?
That don't have access to these types of activities, we will look at scholarship programs. So that's something that we've looked at in my own franchise, and we've piloted it and it's working quite well. So scholarship programs is the number one way that we'll be looking to integrate that into the platform.
Okay. All right. Short and sweet. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. And so that is our last finalist for the night, everyone. I am really excited for us to move on to our next section of the night, which is our panel deliberation. So shout out to the judges for their super insightful questions around the market, the product, the business model, just various aspects of the business. And also shout out to our founders tonight who are super early in their process, but we select founders in Immerse who have done everything but build a high fidelity MVP. So even though for many of them, this is their MVP 1 or MVP 2, they've done a lot of work, and I'm sure you can all agree that it shows tonight. And so with that being said, I'm going to bring on board our other team member on the Immerse super team, which is Zane, and he is going to host the second part of the night while the judges and I go and deliberate. And so we'll see you soon.
Okay, y'all. I'm the one that's in the chat, Immerse Bubble. I just want to say this has been such an amazing event. And if y'all can show some love in the chat, show some love to our finalists, show some love to our judges, to Nicole, who's the director of Immerse, to Emmanuel. It truly has been such an inspiring few months. These 10 weeks with the founders, I can't even describe seeing them come in. And I saw a few people asking questions about, did you know Bubble before this? Did you build on Bubble before this? And for a lot of our founders, no, they haven't built on Bubble before this. And for some of the founders, yeah, they have, but not to the extent that they had an MVP. So we have a variety of folks that have been in this program, and the work that you're seeing has been through long hours, has been through tears almost, has been through very intimate moments. And I'm so honored that I was a part of it. So yeah, my name is Zane. I'm the Immerse Program Manager. I work alongside Nicole, who's been the host all night, who's an amazing teammate and very inspiring entrepreneur herself. And so I have the privilege and the honor of giving the poll or shouting out the poll for who is our fan favorite. Now, y'all, this is very important. I'm going to put this poll up, and I was looking at the other polls and I see who's commenting and I see who's not. So I'm asking for everybody to come in. You saw the videos, you heard the pitches, you saw all of the beautiful work, all of the hard work that these founders have done, all of the dedication that they've put into their MVPs. And so I'm going to shoot this poll right now. And as we're voting for this poll, we'll be watching a video so I can introduce you to the rest of the cohort, cohort 5. I know someone said they missed the other 4 cohorts and should they leave? No, you just got to check out the other YouTube videos. But if you're coming here for the first time, we welcome you. So I'm going to shoot this poll right now. Like I said, I want everyone to answer because this is extremely important. So here you go. And as you're voting, we'll share this little video so you can meet everyone else at Immerse. Okay, y'all. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw all the great work or heard all the great work that everyone's been doing, but yeah, this cohort 5 with the 11 founders has been absolutely amazing. And so we're for a special treat. You had the video, you got to vote for your fan favorite, and now we're gonna have an interview. We're gonna have an interview with a previous fan favorite, Jordana Wright, and with our director of community from Bubble, Daniel Zaltzman. Let me tell you a little bit about Jordana. So, in her role as managing director of Active Space and Impact Real Estate Social Enterprise, she founded in 2017. Jordana leverages her deep understanding of city building processes to transform vacant and underutilized properties from liabilities to community assets. She's also the founder of the Viral Black Twitter. She's an Immerse alumni and a proficient Bubble developer. And she's here with us tonight alongside, again, Daniel Zaltzman, Director of Community. So I'm going to bring them on stage and they're going to have a great interview. They're just going to chat with you for the next few minutes while we're waiting for our judges to deliberate. So let me bring them on stage. Daniel, Jordana. Hey, all right. So get off the stage and let y'all shine and do what y'all do.
Sounds great. Wow. Firstly, Jordana, what are you feeling right now? Being back to demo day and this experience, where are you at right now?
It's really reminding me of being on the other side of that process and kind of pitching my product and not knowing what would come of it. And a lot of great things have happened since demo day. So I'm just happy to have this interview and the opportunity to share with some of the founders in the audience what can happen post demo day. And even if you don't get into Immerse, there are 1,000,001 opportunities within the Bubble community that I've benefited from. And I'm sure that you've seen, Daniel, in your role in community at Bubble, that we can share more about as well with people in the audience. I'm seeing lots of questions about Bubble and its community.
Yeah, and folks, if you have questions while we're chatting with Jordana, please leave questions. We will we'll keep an eye on the chat and jump into those in a little bit. This has just been so inspiring to be a part of this day and to be here to see these founders and just thinking about how you went through this journey. And that was 2 years ago. So Jordana, can you give us an update? What have you been up to since winning fan favorite at demo day?
A lot. Just to kind of summarize, I started out as someone who I didn't know anything about software development. So a lot of people that I know who work in tech or software development have this story where they started coding since they were like 10 years old, 15 years old. And I started learning software development when I was in my 30s, which is like old in the tech world. But that's when I started with Immerse and I started learning Bubble. And since then I've learned all sorts of other languages and more traditional coding, but it's been such a long journey to this point. But Bubble really helped me speed up my product development path, and it allowed me to just develop this incredible product super fast without having to worry about all the difficulty learning how to code to start. And I'm just so happy to be able to get my product out into the world. I successfully got it funded after Immerse, and I built a social media site, which has been a big success since Immerse. So a lot has happened.
That's incredible. And one thing that when we were chatting before that is so clear when just connecting with you and hearing your story is your passion for building. You just love building so much. And I thought it was really interesting because you talked about not only building for yourself, but also building for others as well, building for others, with others. Can you talk about, the founders tonight really are for now building, obviously they're building these solutions for these customers and for these communities. How do you think about the sort of the difference between building for yourself and building for and with others?
Well, building for others has been incredible for me. Like, I've really had the opportunity to help others in their journey the way that Immerse helped me through my journey. And there's been a number of people with all sorts of exciting product ideas who I've helped make their first dollar in tech or their first dollar online. And now it's become a passion of mine. So I've successfully built these ventures, funded these ventures, and now I just want to help others do the same. So I've met a lot of people with all sorts of different ideas. Right now I'm helping this medical student who successfully finished their MCATs, and they had this unique studying strategy that they're creating an app around. So I'm turning that studying strategy into an app with them, and it allows them to study and have their medical career and also have now this side hustle essentially where they can help others who are going through that studying process, and they're able to like digitize and monetize that skill set, which is really exciting to see. And that's not someone who ever thought they would work in tech. They just had this process that they developed of studying, and they said, you know what, let's build a community around this. Let's build an app. And we're building it really quickly and already seeing early success with it.
How did you connect with them? How did you all get connected?
Everywhere. People kind of approach me these days because they've seen my success. They've seen that I'm not someone who comes from a software development background, and I was able to build this large real estate platform and get it funded. And my second app, Black Twitter, as Zane mentioned, is this dynamic social media site. And a lot of people initially seeing me build with Bubble thought Bubble was only for MVPs. And when they saw that I could build something equivalent to Twitter using Bubble, that really sparked a lot of attention. And I had like 20,000 users join the site essentially overnight. And my app held up pretty well as it could, just as a team of one building something like a Twitter, and seeing that kind of viral growth was really exciting. And so I've had the opportunity to connect with a lot of new founders through that.
Incredible. You keep talking about, I'm sure the audience hears this, how Jordana just keeps talking about these ventures and these initiatives. And it's not just one company that Jordana has started. You have so many different ventures that you're balancing. So what's your approach? What are your thoughts on that, and kind of being a one-time founder versus continuing to be that serial entrepreneur that you are?
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of people assume that I have this massive tech company behind me, but I'm largely just a team of one. And as a team of one, I rely really heavily on a lot of my peers in the Bubble community to help me out here and there with my apps. So for example, when Black Twitter went viral overnight and 20,000 people joined, and all of a sudden I was getting all these customer support requests and all these feature requests, and it was just me, which is a lot to take on. So I went to the Bubble forums, I reached out to my Bubble Twitter community. I started to build up that network of people to help me in balancing my ventures, because I didn't have the resources necessarily to build out a big team. It was really just me building these apps. So if you're someone who's starting out with Bubble, one of the things that I would strongly recommend is to start building your community now. Like even people in this comment section, if there are others who are building with Bubble, if there are others who you're seeing even on Twitter who are having conversations around Bubble, start connecting with them, start engaging, start talking about what you're building and creating that community for yourself. Because in that viral moment when my app just blew up overnight, I had already laid that groundwork and already started building that community, which started with my the real estate venture. So that was the biggest game changer for me in trying to balance all these ventures that I'm creating.
So you talk about leaning into community, you talk about balance. What else are some of the important things to look for? And when did you know within you that was really something you were really passionate about, is having these multiple companies and continuing to create?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always been a creative. I've always been a community builder, but I didn't know that software would be where those skill sets for me really flourish, software development, because it's not even anything I had ever envisioned myself being in. But when I started with Bubble, it just like completely transformed my entire life. And I have this whole new big community now. And I just, I think that it just I don't know, like I think being engaged in the community in a really generous way, like jumping into the forums and starting to just talk to people, and if you have knowledge on Bubble, sharing that knowledge with others, like I think that's an important aspect of like creating these communities and getting engaged in the development process of your products.
That's really helpful, and there's a lot of positive chatter in the chat here. Like the community is happening in real time, just as you're informing us on this. So that's amazing. And so let's pull out a question from Nelsie here. So question for Jordana, wondering what would be your sign that it's time to start building a team to support you?
I think when it just feels like your whole venture is like melting, like you're getting so many customer support requests, you're getting so many like product related requests, you have so many users that are just signing on that it's so overwhelming. It's almost like when you get that product market fit feeling, that's when you know you need a little bit of support. But I think support doesn't necessarily look like it did in previous days of building out this big team or getting in a brick and mortar office. Now you have access to all these other Bubble developers online. So just kind of start slowly experimenting with reaching out to your peers and asking for help in little ways. And your team, that support system, will start to kind of build itself as you reach out to people and as you contribute to the community as well. And I think as ventures grow, there's also a need for financial support and not just the positive community support. So that's another aspect that you're going to have to think through in trying to expand your venture. And for me, a lot of people think about traditional VC, but the folks who funded my first venture and now that look like might fund my second venture were not traditional VCs at all. So look broad in building out your community. Think about who your app is helping in a really broad way and make sure you're constantly pulling on those other developers within the Bubble landscape, because you never know who's going to be that helping hand. Like there are a lot of developers that early on in my community or career with Bubble, I reached out to and they helped me on my project. Now I help them on their projects and we kind of just go back and forth. So you never know who's going to be that person to help you out and that person who you'll be able to help as well.
It's so important to paying it forward. And you also called out something that's, I think, really important for the community side is thinking about what communities of who is your community. You talked about VC community. Talked about the developer community, your customer community. So being intentional about that's really important too. Jordana, this has been an amazing opportunity to chat with you. Is it okay if I promote your Twitter in the chat here? Can we get everyone to join your community?
Yeah, definitely promote it. If anyone has any questions related to funding or building on Bubble, I'm happy to share my experience and connect.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so excited to see what the results are going to be. What about you?
I'm very excited.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to catching up on what the conversation has been. And so, everyone, we are coming to the point of the night where we are going to chat about who is our winner on 3 prizes tonight. And so, first, before we actually jump into who the winners are, I just want to say to the founders, congratulations for making it this far. Both the founders who are finalists tonight and also our cohort 5. So if you came to our LinkedIn Live last week and you heard the finalists just kind of chatting and having a great conversation with Zane about the personal side of going through Immerse and just being a founder, you would be really inspired by a lot of the trials and tribulations and triumphs, right, that this entire group has had throughout not just like their early journey, but also specifically the last 10 weeks, right? And so I want to tell you guys that both Zane and I, the Immerse team and the Bubble team, because we've reported back to them on just all the milestones, have seen all your hard work. And so we just want to say thank you, right? And this is truly just the tip of the iceberg for you guys. And so with that being said, I'm excited to name our first winner of the night for fan favorite. It is Obi, the founder of Mara. Congratulations, Obi. We, the judges, well, the judges thought you made a great app, but then obviously the audience tonight thought you did a fantastic job. And so do you have any words to share before you take the stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everyone so much for the support. This is awesome. I mean, this is what keeps me working on it when when I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm struggling on the app. It's the support. So truly thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you, Obi. Our second prize of the night is our best product. And without further ado, best product goes to Antonia. Congratulations. You've got 1 free year of Bubble as our best product winner. You built a very beautiful app and a very technically dense app. And so congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank you, Nicole and Zane. A big thanks to my family and friends who have joined, and especially my co-founder, Courtney, who I know is watching. Couldn't have done it without you.
All right, thank you, Antonia. And so our last prize of the night, everyone, is to best pitch. This individual got a lot of high marks in terms of her presentation, in terms of the pitch in of itself, and just she communicated really clearly, actually, the business and just what she hopes to accomplish with it. And so without much more being said, our best pitch of the night is Adjoa. Congratulations, best pitch. And I'm sorry, that's a typo there. It's not Plantain, it is Soiree. But you guys know, Soiree for our flaky friends, right? So congratulations to Adjoa. It seems like.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Nicole. Like, I definitely wasn't expecting this. And I want to thank you and Zane so much. You've really coached me through this entire thing and put up with me. I want to thank everyone else in the cohort because you guys really made me rise to a different level. And thanks to Emmanuel for starting Immerse. And I'm so excited.
Congratulations. All right, so we're going to
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So the judges are going to come on stage and they have a few words for you, Adjoa, for Peter, for Obi, all of our finalists who are here tonight. So judges, do you want to make your way to the stage for just our last comments for everyone?
Hi, everybody.
Hello, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're waiting on somebody else.
Oh, am I supposed to say a few words?
Well, I mean, they had some comments. I don't know if you guys wanted to share just what you thought was great about her pitch. And we're going to do a feedback loop. I'm going to share with each of you, actually, just the parts that were great and what you need to work on. But the judges just want to say a few words. That's it. And then we'll wrap up the night.
Thanks.
I thought it was great. You did a great job. The design was really good, really concise, and a great presentation. Made it very relatable, and that allowed, at least myself, it allowed me to see myself and all of the times I've hated being at dinner splitting checks with people. So it really hit home, but it also told this narrative of why this is important and impactful for so many people in the world. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Adjoa, great job. Great job. I run a course basically on how to basically pitch to startups. I've been a part of, it's probably my 10th one I've been a judge on. I can't tell you how many I've been a part of, but probably one of the better pitches I've seen. Again, infusing such a real problem And again, I never knew this was a problem until you said something about it. Obviously, I've known in the back of my mind, but I just thought about my own issues in terms of just me not being a drinker. I go out with my friends all the time, and first thing they do is talk about it's like, you get a section, you gotta split it, and it's like, I'm not paying for these bottles because I didn't even take any. So it's just, no, you're creating. It's almost like in the way you present the pitch, you made it to where if it wasn't a problem, it felt like a problem. It felt like something like, wow, this needs to be solved, right away. And so one thing I would just say is just, like own the reason why you did it. I like the whole, like the flicky friend thing. I think that it's a really interesting point too, when you start bringing that up too, because I think a lot of people are like, wow, like that could be me. So let me not be the flaky one and get on this and, be on top of everything. And so I think you have two sides of the coin that you're doing a really great job at. So excited and best of luck with everything as well.
Thank you so much.
Yep, we'll just echo the other judges' remarks. Honestly, awesome pitch, awesome product. Please come to New York next after you've solved Chicago. But what was truly compelling, I think, was how you walked through the before and the after. Super clear on your go-to-market and what your priorities are, and also was very clear that design thinking lens that you apply to the problem was super, super clear. So love what you're doing. Keep going. This is just the beginning.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Definitely coming to New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah, visit the Bubble office. Come to see us.
Oh yes, Bubble. I'm coming for you.
All right. Thank you, judges. You guys can make your way off stage, and you can as well. Ajwa, congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So we are at the time of the night where we're going to wrap up. I just want to say huge thanks to everyone that took the time tonight to see what we are doing in Bubble, in Immerse, and at Bubble, to really truly remove the barriers that exist for many people, starting with underrepresented founders. And so just thank you. We really appreciate it. And we want to take this mission not just to Black and Latinx underrepresented founders, but also other represented founders here in the US and also worldwide. So please stay in touch and keep up with Immerse. So if you're a founder, in fact, we saw that almost 50% of those who are in the audience tonight are founders, right? So we had around 47% and 17% builders and 16% in a category where they're just like, I have an idea and I'm thinking about building something. And so if that's you, join our summer cohort. So we have one coming up that we're still settling some more details around it. But if you are interested in doing what you saw happen tonight, right, in 10 weeks, make sure you keep in touch with us on the website that you'll see up pretty soon. And then secondly, we are always looking for more people to join the Immerse Mentor Network. And so we have two parts of that mentor network. First is being a product mentor. So if you're interested, again, go to our website and see how you could be a part of it. And then secondly, the second way that you could be a part of the Immerse Mentor Network is as a speaker. And so if you're interested, you can go to our website, also bubble.io/immerse-mentor, and you can join that way. But we are really excited to just continue to expand this mission. And so if you want to be a part of it, these are 3 ways that you can do that. And so I'm going to bring Emmanuel back up again to just help us wrap up the night. But that being said, we are excited. Oh, actually, no, we're going to go ahead and just wrap up. But we're going to show you just a couple clips from the session and just the last 10 weeks that we spent together. And so that being said, you guys, we are excited to launch our next cohort and have you be a part of it. So thank you. Thank you, guys.
We're just going to dive in.
I was literally in your shoes last year. I had already developed my MVP and I just needed a much stronger application to really take us to the next level.
So you could do dynamic choices. It's pretty cool.
Hey, Dad, I have a question. It's kind of back in the workflow.
Someone had a question yesterday about keeping borders to know where things are on the page, and I found out how to do it, if that helps.
Wait, yeah, how? How do you do that?
I like to think of it as like organizing my thoughts into groups.
It's just strategic thought when it comes to workflows. Like when a button is clicked, what has to happen?
We started to identify patterns, basically. So people use Pinterest, people use group text, people use TikTok. Starting to understand the patterns about the questions that you're asking, so you can start to define exactly what you're solving for.
How are you guys doing? Are you building stuff?
Yeah, building.
All right, cool. if you can tell when I build things, I'm not really worried about how they look. I just want them to function, and then I go back and make things look pretty. That's just my way of building things. So if it bugs you that I build ugly stuff, sorry.